My name is Ed Pink, and I'm 85 years old, and I've been in the engine business for just about all my life since about 1960, and I got my start at Edelbrock.
My name's Vic Edelbrock Jr., and I got my start when I was 3 years old, and I put my thumb in the bench grinder because I wanted to stop it, and it almost took all my thumb off. But I'm knocking on the door of 80. I'll be that in August. And I've been around this stuff all my life, and it is my life. I like it very much. I like the things that it does. And I was very fortunate to be only one child in the family because I gave them so much problems. They didn't dare have another one. But my father was quite a guy and had a mind of how things worked in an internal combustion engine, and was able to transform that into things that he wanted to do. When he first ran his 32 Roadster that he bought in like 35, I was born in 36. He took it the dry lake bed in 38, and they all looked at the flathead and said, "Won't work," because they were using the 6-cylinder Chevrolet, and that was it. And my dad said it will work. And so if you look at our banners that we have here on our posters, this shows a picture of my dad in the car going through the speed traps at Harper Dry Lake 3 weeks before Pearl Harbor, going 121.5 miles an hour. And that was the year he won the High Point and the Roadrunner Car Club. And by the way, I built a house in 1970 in Rolling Hills on Roadrunner Road. So, and he took that, and when you look at the things that happened after the war, and Ed Eskandarian, the guy next to me, Ed Pink, was in that. It was all flathead, and NASCAR was flathead. And that's what Senior was doing when he first started his racing. And Henry didn't build that as a race engine, that's for sure. But it got picked up, and because it would react, and that was a car. Well, it was my dad's midget that Roger Ward was driving the night that the V860 beat the Offies at Gilmore Stadium, which was an Offie track, and they didn't run V860s because they couldn't compete. But my dad was given a gallon of nitromethane by the midget driver named Ed Haddad, who later got killed at Gilmore. And he was afraid of it because the Dooling brothers in Culver City, they used it to run their cars on that track circuit where they ran in a slotted track, and it was quite competitive. And they got that stuff after the war was over. It was supposed to be a rocket fuel or something like that. And so my dad got it, and he burned up his first engine was the V860 that he had in the car. And they put 10% in it, and they got a lot of blue pistons and everything out. But it also pegged the meter on the dyno, and they knew they had something. So they worked it out. They could put 20% in it and gain 40% in power. So a V860 had more power than an Offie, because my dad had one in 1946, 47, and he knew what the power was. So they went to Gilmore. I was not old enough to get in the pits when that happened, and I was next to my dad, who watched the race in the grandstand, and he was very nervous because he came up with the idea of taking the low pressure out of the tires so he get a better bite. But he didn't have the tires attached to the wheel, so the whole wheel was, the tire was shifted, and the tube on the inner tube was like that when he ended. So he was quite nervous, but Ward led the whole race for 30 laps, and everybody was quite attentive. And from that, my dad ran him in some of the bigger, the regular flathead engines, and did a lot of things, and they kept it a secret for about 6 months. They go in midget racing, and they'd have cans that were plated, nickel plated. They didn't make plastic like we got today, or material like that. And and then so they put 4 gallons in the Jeep can, and then they had a gallon in a jar that was put in a cardboard box, the same size as the jar. And so they come time to put fuel in it, they open at the top of that box, and nobody could see the jar, and pour it into the tank, or the Jeep fuel and tank, and they sit and shake the hell out of it, put it in the car, and it had a blue exhaust. It had a smell and it burnt your eyes, and they knew something was in there. And about 6 months, then it got out and everybody had it. So it was really fun watching it. So a lot of things that I've seen, and I've been very fortunate to see in the time I've been in this. It's really been fun. Well, this is a truck. This is one of 2. We have another one that's almost exactly there's exactly alike, and it runs in the Midwest, East Coast. This one does all the Western states. But we have to go out and meet the people. Very important. You can't do it from your desk. You've got to be out here to talk to people. I just did the hot rod tour, and I've done it for 21 years. I missed the first one, and I haven't missed one since. And to go out for 6 days and meet the people out there and see what's going on, and the excitement, and what they say about you, and they're not throwing darts at you, but they're happy with what you got, and we're fortunate for that. But you have to do it. Exactly. And it's fun to do it. Yeah. And the truck idea is to go out and have almost everything we make displayed, and then we go to all kinds of events, and they're busy almost every weekend, and see what's going on.
Okay, well, basically, I got started at a very young age, probably around 15 years old, and I love mechanical things. My father was in the paint business, and I could have gone into the paint business with him and made a lot of money, but instead I chose the automotive field, and like I said earlier, I got my start at Edelbrock. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. So, what kind of engines? You're an engine builder, right?
Right. Well, I started running El Mirage Dry Lake, and then from there I went to Bonneville, and then from Bonneville I went to the drag races, and we built top fuel and 20-car engines up until 1980. 1980 was right about the end of it for me, and I moved on. My next step was Indy cars. I did the Cosworth turbocharged V8s for up until the time they got into leased engines, and once the leased engines start, that pretty well put me out of the picture. Then we went into sports cars, and we did the 962 Porsche for Jim Busby, and we did that for 3 or 4 years until finally that particular car became obsolete and they went into other things. And then I went back to Indy, and we did the Turbo V6 Buicks. And then when the IRL started, we did the development work for Nissan on the Infinity engine. And that ended up being the hardest project we've ever done because it was underfunded. They did not have a budget for it like it needed to be done. So a lot of it was done with smoke and mirrors. But we did win a race. And then finally Nissan pulled out of it. And we got into midgets, and we designed a 4-cylinder engine for Ford, which became the dominant engine in midget racing throughout the United States. And then Toyota approached Steve Lewis, who was a customer of mine, a good friend and a customer of mine, who we were doing midget engines and Ford engines, and they wanted to know if he would like to run a Toyota. And he said, yes, he would. Do you have one? He says, no. What we're going to do is, if you'll sign on with us to run the engine, we're going to contact Ed Pink and see if he'll design us an engine. So Toyota called me, and I went down to a meeting in Costa Mesa at TRD headquarters, and they brought out a valve cover and a cylinder head and said, "This is what we have to bring to the party. We need you to design and make everything else,"
Thank you very much.
which we did do. We designed a 4-cylinder engine that ended up being a more powerful engine than the Ford we did. And the first outing with the engine, we won at Copper Classic in Phoenix on the mile. We had quick time plus the winner. But we were also very fortunate to have drivers like Tony Stewart and Jason Weckler and Kenny Irwin, people like that driving the cars. And then I went into doing Silver Crown, because before we did the Toyota Midget, Ford wanted us to develop a V8 for the Silver Crown race. And then that became very successful. It won 4 championships in a row. And then Toyota wanted us to do a Silver Crown engine for them, which we did. And then we did sprint car engines. We did drifting engines. So we've done just about everything but Formula One and NASCAR. To me, the best one is the one that wins, and we were very fortunate that we had a lot of winners. And we were involved with a lot of car owners that were good car owners, because it takes the whole combination. You got to have a good car owner that's willing to spend the money and put the effort into it, and then be able to hire good mechanics and good drivers to do it. Then that all makes our engine look good. And if you've got a bad car or a bad driver, the engine looks like it's underpowered.
Right.
And but it's been good, and I've had a great association with Edelbrock. Goes back to 1947. I was very, very fortunate. A lot of people don't know this, that whatever it was, Vic Edelbrock Sr. saw something in me he liked, and he was a big helper to me. I mean, back in the days when I was just getting started and struggling, every once in a while, I'd go to lunch and come back from lunch, and there'd be a barrel of nitro sitting in my driveway that Vic had bought for me and delivered and just left it there for me.
Sweet.
And besides that, in my early days in drag racing, he assigned Bobby Meeks and Don Told to help me, which is 2 of his best engine guys. So I had a lot of help from them, and Vic always wanted to know what was going on and so forth. He was kind of my silent father in the background. And I still have the same relationship with Vic Jr.
Right. Very much. That's excellent. I think we've taken enough of your gentleman's time. I really appreciate it.
Let me add, just because I just want to hit where we are today.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of your questions was where are we today? And our thing is that we have to involve the youth, and you take the youth in Southern California has always been unique, because a guy or a gal can go surfing in the morning, in the wintertime when there's snow in the mountains, go snow skiing in the afternoon, and there's a lot of different things they can do. But if you go around the country and you get in the Midwest and places, they want to work on their cars, and as they do here, a lot of people still do. But what's happened is there's schools, college, or there's schools that have invested in training the young people regarding automotive engines and how to be involved with it, and if you like it and you want to get your hands dirty, you can do it, and there's a lot out of there to be done, and that's what we're doing today. And there's schools all around. UTI has got 12 different schools throughout the country. OTC's got a school in Cleveland, and there's others, and they are putting programs together for kids to come in and get a degree. And they're not all people who can run computers all the time. They still will use a computer in whatever they do. You have to now, but they're involved with the automotive performance engine, and they're willing to learn and go out there and sell our product. And that is out there now, and it's doing well, and we're gonna keep it going by helping the people with the schools and the hot rodders of tomorrow. Jim Bigham is a very good friend of ours. I saw the first deal he had at a car show, and I just told him, "You've got a great idea." Took it to Siemens, and they go, "Well, we don't know if we want to invest." And I looked them straight in the eye and I said, you will invest because this is what you need. That was in 07 before 08. And in 08 hit, they lost all the people, half the people in the big building, and the whole back part of that was empty. So they put Hot Rodders of Tomorrow in there, and it really opened the door. I had people from SEMA say, thank you very much for saving them and helping them get through that. But it's a beautiful thing. We've got a beautiful thing here, and keep it going. And thank you for doing what you're doing and letting people know that what is truly going on. Thank you.
So, both of you.
Vic and I are happy to be here at the LA Roadster Show, and we wish Happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
I want to ditto that, and it's great to be here. The show's been here for many, many years. I think it's one of the oldest ones, and they do a great job, and it's great to be here, and Happy Father's Day to everybody.